Hey y'all, welcome back to Harrison Talks Pod, episode 36. Free agency has been on fire. Kevin Durant is a Houston Rocket. Damian Lillard's been waived, and teams across the league are playing a whole new level of cap space chess. Most of them. In today's extended episode, we're breaking down the biggest signings, smart front office moves, head scratching decisions, and which teams are quietly building something dangerous. We've got all of the cap context, the winners, the losers, the wild cards, and a whole bunch of free agents still on the board. So buckle up. We got a whole breakdown for you. If you're on YouTube, do all the YouTube things, like, subscribe. If you're on the podcast networks, subscribe, comment if there's comments. I don't know. I think Spotify has comments. Anyways, let's get into it. And also, I said let's get into it, but also shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of all weeks, I do not record the week they actually do win the championship, but of course, watch Game 7 and the unfortunate Achilles injury by Tyrese Halliburton, which I'm addressing in a bonus episode. Well, not bonus, pre recorded episode coming out the following week after this one. And so happy for both teams and super ecstatic for the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the championship. But that's kind of it for that kind of talk. It came and went. We are well into the off season. There's been a draft. Free agency has already started, and there were tons of moves, more moves than I think most of us had anticipated. So I'm going to do my best to cover not everything, but most of the important things, and going to try to do my best with starting with the biggest to smallest. And the biggest, is it the biggest bombshell? Maybe the second biggest bombshell next to the Damian Lillard news. But Kevin Durant, his fifth team in his career is now the Houston Rockets. Houston has acquired Kevin Durant. They've also acquired Clint Capella. And in exchange, the Phoenix Suns got Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and some first round picks. So overall, I think the Rockets are for sure one of the winners in this offseason. And we'll talk more on future episodes about my predictions for the upcoming season. I mean, we'll have to see kind of also if there's any trades and some of these other signings that have not happened just yet. But I think the East and West are going to be wide open next season, and they're going to be wide open for good and bad reasons. The good being the talent, and the bad being the age and the cap space. So the Houston Rockets were for sure one of the winners, and we have to count them in as one of the contenders in the West next season. Are they the best contender in the West now that they have Kevin Durant? Are they overrated? They didn't get that much better because they have Kevin Durant going into his 18th season. Isn't that correct? So, hasn't won a championship, hasn't had super six since 2019. But of course, we get to see Kevin Durant return to Texas, and we get to see a defensive team around Durant as well. It was a young team. So it's going to be very exciting to watch. It was a great treat to watch this Houston Rockets team all this season. Huge surprise there. And speaking of defense, they also signed Dorian Finney-Smith. Was super surprised about that signing. 4 years, $53 million, which seems like a super good deal. So what happened with the Lakers? The Lakers didn't offer that? Or Dorian Finney-Smith wanted to leave? Because that seems like an offer they could have made. But anyways, they get another 3-and-D wing on that team. So expect Houston to be right up there. They lose Green. Jalen Green was a solid player for them, and I hope that he can develop in Phoenix, assuming that's where he's gonna. And they lost Dylan Brooks, but yes, they got Dorian Finney-Smith. I still think they are easily a top defensive team going into next season. And remember what kind of defensive efforts KD was able to do. Yes, a younger KD on the Warriors, who were an established defensive team when he came in, but then they were leading the league in deflections, for example. So Kevin Durant, although he is getting older, we know who it is. I mean, he's super versatile and he knows how to play the game the right way. So um, he can hopefully add to the overall defense and just, overall chemistry of that team. Of course it will. It might be even sort of a cultural, even though you're getting your aging or veteran, perhaps, top 15, 20 guy of all time on this young team. And he's still elite. Uh 27.8 points last season, 6.5 rebounds on 52% shooting. And the Rockets are currently at 195.9, which is right at that uh first apron. So I'm actually surprised that they are not higher with everything they've done. I mentioned Dorian Finney-Smith. They re-signed Fred VanVleet, which was able to create around $20 million by restructuring his contract, and they extended Jabari Smith Jr. Of course, we were going to see that in this off season, and wow, get to see him develop a little bit around KD as well. So hopefully, we get to see his offense improve with that move as well. So, I think it's legit. I think, if this team can stay healthy, they have a legit title shot, but they're not going to be the only ones. And they might not be the top team. They're not going to be a top team. Excuse myself from earlier. It's going to be the OKC Thunder. But are they the second top team next to them? They have a shot for it. So, definite winners in this offseason for sure had, I think, three really good moves, and they extended Jabari Smith Jr., and they didn't lose too much. They Shingun, you keep Shingun, of course. You weren't going to deal him in that trade, and you dealt Jalen Green. Hopefully, he can improve wherever he is, as I said. So next part, I want to talk about the cap and the apron. So according to Sport Track, let's see, we have three teams: Celtics, Cavaliers, Suns over the second apron. We have three teams besides that: Nuggets, Knicks, and Raptors that are above the first apron. Wow, Raptors, phew. And over the cap is everyone else. The soft cap is 140, which is pretty crazy. The maximum is 154.6. And over the cap, you still have your non-taxpayer mid-level exception and your biannual exception as well. So this offseason, more than any, because of this new CBA, we are seeing teams that are making fast moves and trying their best to see how they can fit in and see if this is their year uh be a first or second apron team. And of course, we had a situation in Milwaukee and a situation with Tyrese Halliburton being injured in Indiana, where we're seeing teams perhaps make moves quicker than they usually would. I don't know if this is the whole post Luca being traded era that we are in. I don't know if it started there. Probably started before that. But anyways, I'm rambling. Let's talk more about the cap and the apron First apron is 196, second apron is 208. If you hit second apron, there's no mid-level exceptions, there's no sign-in trades, you can't take money back on any trades, you can't in a certain way. I'm trying to think of whatever word that is. You're very, very limited. And the Reeds are in that situation right now. Some examples of this. Los Angeles Lakers, now that LeBron has opted in. Of course, there's been way too much news about him. Oh, by the way, he's in Cleveland every offseason. I think I think we knew that already. I mean, I don't really follow him much in the off season, but I knew that. Like he has a home there and he goes back anyways, whatever. But did he post to make people talk? I don't know. Who cares? Who cares? We're talking now. His team, now that he took his option, is at 221.9. They used both their mid-level exceptions on Jake LaRavia and DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton was their best option for center for who was available at the time. And when he was waived by the Trailblazers, it was pretty obvious that that would be the top pick. So Dan gets paid a whole bunch next season, and Lakers are able to use mid-level exception on that. He has played alongside Chris Paul before, but Luka Doncic is going to be something completely new for him, and I think it's a perfect probably the worst way possible. I mean, I like the Andrew Ayton style of play, but my issues with him would be issues that anyone else would have, he missed a game because there was snow on the ground. And how many times have you ever heard that before? So, availability, motivation overall, but hey, good basketball is always accepted no matter who you play for. So, hopefully, there are some good habits that are built for him in LA, and hopefully he's just a good lab threat for them. And it doesn't solve perimeter defense for the Lakers, but it does get them a center, and we know if they had a center, they would have been maybe not out of the first round, but more competitive, certainly in the playoffs. Mark Williams would have been a better option, I think. But they do get a better yeah, maybe DeAndre Ayton making all this extra money will make him have a kind of a comeback season. And I think that he will be playing on a team that will want to be in the playoffs. It's gonna be a hit or miss, which is why I say he's like the perfect Laker, because the Lakers fan can have fun with that. He'll have nights where he looks great, and then they'll have nights where everyone's just posting memes about him, which is very typical for that fan base. So welcome DeAndre Ayton to LA. Hope enjoy the money and the weathers there. Rockets are at 198.5. Did I say that wrong before? Okay, let me check. They're at 198.5. Okay, so they are between first and second apron. I said under, but they're actually between now. Can't use tax on the mid-level exception, but can sign minimums. Bucks, now that they released Damian Lillard, are at 185 million. They use their stretch provision on Dame to add Miles Turner and Gary Harris. Certainly an upgrade on center. Didn't look up the matchups between Miles Turner and Brook Lopez, but you get someone who is younger, more versatile. I'm not sure if he's better at the three, Miles Turner, that is, but might be best true center that Giannis has played with. So for sure, an upgrade there. There's just a lot of unknowns, including the future of Giannis. And I'm not really sure what he should do. No, usually I'd have more of an opinion on what a team or a player should do, but I really don't at this point because he might wait. Could be. I mean, he even wait into the season for all that we know. But if he wants to be traded, what does he desire? And I've seen a lot of people online talk about how, oh, players like like the European players like Giannis or, Jokic, if he ever would, want to leave, they don't care about, the location or, where they're living, who they're playing with. I don't know if that's true or not. And Giannis has Giannis and Jokic, they've both won championships already. So uh who knows if that means they feel less pressure from the current city that they are in. Just taking a long time to say, unless we know those players personally, it's really hard to really know what motivates them entirely. So who knows what Giannis does, but they are in a super interesting situation. Warriors are at 200, 265 or more. They are going to be in apron jail with no flexibility, and it seems like they might not be done making moves. So Steph Curry on your team can still be competitive in the playoffs, can still have your best player of anybody on the floor in the playoffs, but not a whole lot of time to develop. I think they'll trade Jonathan Kaminga, and I think they probably should, but one move isn't going to necessarily move them forward. So let's chat more about them in a bit. Hawks are at 250 million. So are they first or second? They're above the cap. They still have some flexibility. Let's get into some winners of the offseason, at least so far. And who knows if the biggest signings have happened. Not all the signings have happened, and there's some signings that I'm not looking forward to that we'll talk about. Have the biggest trades happened? Who knows? It's crazy to think that uh, it hasn't happened yet. All right, we mentioned Houston Rockets, KD trade, Dorian Finney-Smith sign, Clint Capella trade. You get better on defense. You get better at shooting. Losing Dylan Brooks and gaining Dorian Finney-Smith while gaining more experience from your young team. It might be the same or better on the perimeter, but it's certainly better on the interiors, though. So they are a legit contender. That is their ceiling for sure. Atlanta Hawks, who I need to pay more attention to at all times. It's like the number one league pass team that I should watch more of, but it's hard to watch Trae Young sometime for me. But anyways, they traded for Kristaps Porzingis in a 3-team deal with Boston and Brooklyn. Boston got George Niang, Brooklyn got Terrence Mann, and Boston got picks. The Hawks get Kristaps Porzingis, his fourth team. Fourth team in how many years now? In 6 years? 5 years? 6 years? And hopefully can have a healthy year and be a positive threat lob next to Trae Young. But there's going to be a lot of unknowns about that team heading into the season. Upgraded, I think, for sure, though. They added Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Great signing, I think. 4 years, $62 million. Luke Kennard, also a great deal. 1 year, wow, $11 million. 46% from three in the last 3 seasons. So their odds to win the East shifted from 120 to 1 to 55 to 1. Take it. Well, I don't know. So they made some big moves, and I think they're under the tax or they're under the apron. So they might be done with their big moves, but might not be done entirely. Denver Nuggets, I think we can say, are winners of the offseason, and you have that X factor of having the best player in the world on your team, and the fact that he makes pretty much every run around him better. They did lose Michael Porter Jr. Not that I'm saying that they're winners. I put Valanciunas in my notes, but Valanciunas isn't going to the Nuggets, is he? Valanciunas is going to Greece, I guess. How much money was that he gave up? Some players they don't in the location they're in. I think we'll say it like that. Bruce Brown comes back to the Nuggets. Cam Johnson they signed. Tim Hardaway they signed on a good deal. So they have some good bench cohesion around Jokic. I'm sure Denver and Nuggets fans are going to be pumped to see Bruce Brown back with Nuggets. Won a championship with them. I think the Memphis Grizzlies were winners of this offseason, despite not losing, but trading Desmond Bain. And are they done? I don't know how long Ja Morant is out for, next season. Do they ever think about moving Ja Morant, after his issues with availability, mostly due to injuries, mostly. But I still think they are in the winning category because they added Contavious Caldwell-Pope in the deal. They added Cole Anthony in the trade. They signed Ty Jerome to one of the best contracts of the offseason. And they are very likely going to be extending Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, I think we would all be surprised if it didn't happen soon because Desmond Bain was traded. You're opening up the road for Orlando Magic. Speaking of which, they acquired Desmond Bain, and they got Tyus Jones 1 year, $7 million. They added some point guard depth, and we get to see how Desmond Bain plays alongside Paolo Banchero. So Orlando was surprisingly aggressive this offseason, and how did they not improve? So I'm not a betting guy. If you've been listening to me, that I talk odds, but their odds had to improve for winning the East next season because this is just a younger team that is gaining more experience together, becoming more cohesive, and is adding a wing player who is a borderline all-star player. So I'm going to be super, super excited about watching next season. OKC Thunder have too many players, but are still winners of this offseason. Locked in SGA with his 4 year, $285 million Supermax, biggest deal in the league. Probably just for next year. Isn't that how it always is? Like every year, there's a new record. So they have Chet Holmgren, player option, Jalen Williams, player option. They got depth, they got draft capital. Where does it all go? For all of the teams, I would say going back to Golden State, this is the team that I feel most confident of that could repeat champions because they were, in my opinion, maybe early by one season. The acquisition of Alex Caruso, Hardenstein, whatever, sped up that timeline and ultimately made them best in the West, best in the league, and NBA champions. And in my opinion, the last 2 years, the best two teams in the league were NBA champions. So I think they have a great chance to repeat and still don't know where all these draft picks go. So they're even, giving up good players on rookie contracts. There's just nowhere for those players to go. They are my last winners for for this podcast. Losers or bull head scratchers in this offseason. Golden State Warriors. No big moves. They lost Kevon Looney, which is going to be tough. He's going to get a great video when he returns. They're going to get a great reunion. And they are way up, $265 million in payroll. They really don't have any sort of maneuverability. They are an older team. They made the right move getting Jimmy Butler. And age, timeline, and knowing that you can't spend time rebuilding. You have to try to push for a playoff run now. Who else they trade, and can they make any trades before this next season? I don't know. Do we see Jonathan Kuminga on a different team before the season? We'll see. Phoenix Suns are unclear. Losers, head scratchers, I don't know. Kevin Durant is out, but Kevin Durant should have left the Suns. We know that. Devin Booker's still there. We could assume that. We're talking about a possible Chris Paul reunion. Hey, why not, I guess? They added Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and a very unclear future there because Bradley Beal, we've had a couple players. I mean, we had Damian Lillard be waived, but the big player, the big contract we talked about being waived was Bradley Beal. So could he still be waived? And if not, him next to Jalen Green is going to be weird. It's going to be a weird team next season, I think. And I don't see them being serious with the amount of money they're spending. I don't see their vision of the rebuild just yet. So, wow. They should do a whole 30 for 30 on this post Golden State KD era. It's been pretty fascinating, along with Matt Ishbia and the Phoenix Suns as well. Portland Trailblazers bought out Ayton. Anthony Simons goes to Boston. They added Drew Holiday, which helps their defense, which I'm sure they want to improve, but the timeline doesn't really work out for them too much. So, once again, the Trailblazers get a former Boston Celtic that I really like. You know, Robert Williams, Drew Holiday now. So are they trying to be a play-in team next season? Are they trying to be a playoff team? I know that they are saying that they're going to try and be a playoff team, but the West is going to be just as competitive, and who are you beating out in the West to make that run? And is 10th place where you want to be? If play-in is seen as an improvement, okay, then I'm here for it. Definitely think that they are head scratchers for this offseason. Miami Heat did not get Kevin Durant and haven't made any other big deals or trades since that trade to Houston happened. They did re-sign Bam, isn't that right? Okay. And not sure what else they do for this offseason. It's not really sure if they make any other moves. They were surprisingly much better than I anticipated last season, and that's how I feel every season. But they are regressing. They're going the opposite direction now. So, what do Pat Riley and the Miami Heat do? Indiana Pacers, last one. Okay, it's sad. Yeah. Lost Miles Turner, most tenured Indiana Pacer by far. Sad to see him go. And not only do you lose Miles Turner for not that much extra money, but you lose him to the Milwaukee Bucks, who might be your biggest rival in the East at this point. So it's just bad. If I'm a Pacers fan, I hate it. I really, really hate it because if I was a Pacers fan, I would be a huge Miles Turner fan because that's how I've been forever. I think I've been a supporter of him for most of his career. They did pick up payroll, but we're not seeing a lot of retooling, and losing Tyrese Halliburton Game 7, Achilles injury, gives you the reality that not only did you lose that whole playoffs coming up short, but then you're kind of having to retool your entire franchise with this new CBA and not having that player all next season. So if Halliburton wasn't injured, had they won or lost, is Miles Turner still on the Pacers? I think yes. So very unfortunate. Yes, very unfortunate, but he is on his way to a different team in the East. Some under the radar wins. Cam Johnson to the Nuggets, 42% from three last season. D'Angelo Russell goes to the Mavericks on a great deal, 2 years for $13 million. So you get some shooting around Kyrie or around AD, former teammate of his. Isaac Okoro to the Bulls, defensive improvement for Zim. Jordan Poole to the Pelicans. He gets to play alongside Zion, hopefully gets a fresh start, and had some decent games as a Wizard, but hopefully can make improvements in efficiency. I don't know if we see improvements in defense, but definitely gets a fresh start on another young team and a team that is going to be more competitive. Not sure if that team is even done or if their focus is entirely around Zion, which it sure seems like it is. So I've been pretty wrong about that franchise the last 6 years since Zion's been on that team, I'll say. So, what other veterans are on the move? Let's recap because so many things have happened. Brook Lopez goes to the Clippers. Bruce Brown goes back to the Nuggets. James Harden re-signed the Clippers, 2 years, $81.5 million. I think that's a good deal for him and good deal for the franchise. Drew Holiday, I mentioned, goes to the Trailblazers. Jeff Green goes back to the Rockets, right? Gary Harris, I mentioned, goes to the Bucks. Cameron Payne goes to the Knicks. Tim Hardaway goes to Nuggets. Malcolm Brogdon to the Wizards. We'll see if he does anything. Malik Beasley, not too sure. Duncan Robinson goes to the Pistons. Speaking of the Pistons, and I think he's going to do really well for that team, adding more shooting depth for that team as well. Nothing internet breaking. We are still waiting some news on Malik Beasley and everything that happens there. So, we'll see if he's going to start a season, but man, it's unfortunate. Man. Strategic shifts, wildcards, SGA, of course, signing his Supermax deal, anchors in the future of OKC for the next half a decade. They have the pieces around them. They are going to have to deal with the second apron and the tax after this next season, after Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren are off their team options. And we'll see what that means for the future of the current role players on this team and whether they're going to be able to construct enough players around them, or I hate to think about it, they have to shift off of either Chet or Jalen Williams in the future because of this decision that these owners made in the front office. I still don't really get it. We haven't talked too much about Damian Lillard, but of course, he was waived, opens up $22.5 million in dead cap for the next 5 seasons through 2030. Milwaukee thought it was the right deal to do with him rehabbing and being able to get Miles Turner, but clearly this means they are trying to construct something now to retain Giannis and to make them competitive now, but it's very difficult to say because the overall makeup of this team has changed so much. Last had Damian Lillard next to them, so they did take a step back on defense on the perimeter and maybe on the interior also from when you had Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. And now you're leaving the older veteran Damian Lillard and you're shifting and you're getting Miles Turner, so you're trying to build a more cohesive team around Giannis, but is it enough to convince him? Does he need convincing? And yeah, what does the team do? But Damian Lillard seems happy about it. Seeing I don't know too much of him on socials, but he was posting a lot the last couple of days. And no, why wouldn't you? I mean, get money. You still get the same amount of money plus whatever money a team's going to sign you for. And it's crazy to think that a team could sign him this season just for the guarantee and pay him extra money, pay him 2 contracts just to rehab. I have no idea if that's going to happen or not. But he could take the minimum. It doesn't, he could take whatever amount of money he thinks is right for him. But with the amount of teams interested, it's not going to be the minimum. So it would be crazy to see it. Biggest dead cap in NBA history. And I imagine that's by a significant amount. Happened on Bobby Bonilla Day, which is just hilarious. So wow, yes. How much was that? Nearly 90 million, right? In dead cap. Wow. All right. I've yapped too much. Let's finish up these few parts here. Undervalued wins. Okay, this is what I'm the next part. Sam Merrill, 4 years, 38 million. Davion Mitchell, 2 years, 24 million. Might have a bounce back season. Overpays. Naz Reid, 5 years, 125 million. Bobby Portis. Overpay, 3 years, 44 million. Defensive liability, off-court concerns, but the fans like him. 44 million isn't so bad, I guess, for that kind of role player. Excuse me. And who else do we have left? Restricted free agents. We have the Bulls, which might be the most rough signing of the offseason. It's going to put the Bulls in quite an interesting cap situation for a team that might not be going that far next season again. Grimes and the Sixers, Kuminga and the Warriors, Cam Thomas and the Nets, Santi Aldama Grizzlies, Isaiah Jackson and the Pacers, Antonio Reeves and the Pelicans, Javante Green on the Cavs. Those are the remaining restricted. Damian Lillard, Malik Beasley, Malcolm Brogdon, Spencer Dinwiddie, Eric Gordon, Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, Landry Shamet, Dylan Wright, Kevon Looney, or not Kevon Looney, Precious Achua. Is that it? I think that's it, but I'm probably missing some. I try to get all of them. It's been a crazy few days, and I'm very happy that I waited to release this episode. If you follow me normally, you know my upload schedule is a little bit off. But hey, we'll get there. We'll get there. Season, we'll get there. All right, so let's kind of wrap it up there. I'll leave any kind of other predictions. We're on Damian Lillard watch. We're on the Jonathan Kuminga. Is he going to be traded watch? Does LeBron actually do something? I think not, but it's the speculation of the offseason. Is he enjoying being talked about? He probably is. I don't know. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. I hope you guys have a great week. If you're still here, leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, do the podcast things, do the YouTube things. I'll be back. Actually taking a couple of weeks off, but I have a pre-recorded episode coming out next week, so the schedule is almost the same as usual. So I hope you have a great day. Enjoy your NBA offseason. Enjoy your NBA Summer League. Enjoy your summer. And I will see you next time.